Great to have you with us. Now, first story, after the murder and robbery of Assembly member for Sogakope South electoral area, Marcus Ajali, the youth of Sogakope reacted in a two-day civil action, met the Regional Security Council, had a vigil and some traditional performances to draw the attention to the alleged insecurity in and around Sogakope. They demanded prompt action from the police to arrest perpetrators of the crime. The police have arrested and placed in custody 4 persons they suspect may have played roles in the murder of the assemblyman. A statement issued by the Volta Regional Police Command and signed by the Regional Public Relations Officer, Corporal Prince Dogbache, on Sunday said the 4 are currently assisting police investigation and will be duly arraigned in court. But an opinion leader in the area, Maxwell Lukuto, says they are not satisfied with the results so far. He spoke on News Desk.
Their attempt to disassociate the missing arm and the arrest of the 2 police officers from the crime. We thought that they should have more time to screen the officers as well and make sure that we are all on the same wavelength. That is our only displeasure with them. But so far, I think that what we expect them to do, they are doing, and they are doing the rest.
So you seem to be convinced that there are 2 policemen who are deeply involved in this murder. How do you come to that conclusion?
Our information that we also gathered was that the arrest of the 2 police officers was occasioned by information from one of the suspects that were arrested, that these 2 officers were the ones that usually hire ammunition to them to perform some of the activities. And so we think that they should take their time and investigate better. It's curious that just in a day or 2, the PR was quick to announce that the missing rifles has nothing to do with the crime in question. We thought that it was too quick.
So are you thinking that if they had kept them for a longer period, then they would have arrived at a different conclusion from what you're thinking?
That's our thinking, that so far they have not given us any concrete information on the other civilians they have arrested. Why were they quick to disassociate their own from this crime? The more time they take to screen the civilians, they should do the same in screening their officers and make sure that they give us the right information.
Away from that story, the Center for Scientific and Industrial Research, CSIR, is warning of a devastating effect of illegal mining on water bodies in the country. According to Dr. Anthony Appiah, who is head of groundwater division at the CSIR, the illegal activities have silted river bodies, thereby reducing a quantum of potable water to the populace. Speaking on Newsfile, Dr. Appiah warned the nation stands a risk of importing if drastic measures are not taken.
Once the thing moves down, it comes with the debris. So that's why we talk about stability. It's the sand and the clay in the water. So they will come and settle down. They will settle as these things goes on. Eventually, what will happen is that all the rivers will be silted. When we say silt, that means that the sand has formed under it. So if the water has to carry 50 gallons, it can't carry 50 gallons, maybe 5, because the hole down there is sand. So that's why we're talking about importing water, because your rivers are now silted. Where will the water? They all drain into the sea. And you know, taking water from sea is very expensive.
Water gave us about 10 years intervals. Did you say 20, 30, thereabouts or so? Yeah. I think people felt that was too close. But we have also heard suggestions that
the way
may
things
be too far away, because
the way things
it might come too early than we think.
Exactly. Around 2012, 2010, 2012, when we did this thing, the situation was so bad, because at that time, the people were in the middle of the people with the Ashanfa, they were in the middle of the course of the water. So the water is flowing. They are sitting right there with all the things, doing whatever they are doing. Some of them have diverted the water because they needed water. We divert it, then they flow there because it's an alluvial go, so they need water to treat that. So they will divert it. And then you see the whole place. When we went to Konongo, the whole area, almost like the whole community was there. There was one excavator moving the things, people rushing in, taking sand, which contains these things and selling. It was so bad. I remember that time when we held a press conference in the institute. We invited the military, the police, the prison, the presidency at that time. And we showed them the evidence. I have been to the previous government. I was with a deputy director general to the vice president office to show them the picture we have seen.
Yes,
I remember he exclaimed and said, how is this thing going on?
It was when I was reading your paper that I discovered that you have been giving us these warnings and cautions long before Ghana Water 2 years ago came and told us that we are likely to begin to import water.
Exactly.
So
Meanwhile, the Executive Secretary of the Water Resources Commission, Ben Ampoma, has been giving trend analyses of how the Water Quality Index has performed over the years. He paints a grim picture.
2016, we had 60% of our water bodies below 50 in terms of the Water Quality Index. Okay, so it gives you a picture of where
below 50, but not
below
at 20, 60.
Below 50, yes.
But not at 20, where you say it's
I'm coming.
Polluted and...
I'm coming.
It can't be. What is being take will be anything.
16 of those water bodies overall were critical. They were below the 25.
It's 16 of them.
Yes. Okay, because we have about 41 monitoring stations countrywide. And if 16 of them are below the 25, then you could imagine where we were.
These 16 were they the major ones?
The major ones. Okay, because they are basically the major ones. And of course, most of these 16, my guesstimate was that about 12 of them were within this area that we are talking about.
Okay.
We're talking about the southwestern system. Okay, the southwestern water system comprises the pra, like Jia said, Ankobra, Tano, and Bia. Yeah. Those are the key four. The Volta is another matter. Okay, so that's where we were. Now, another key indicator that we normally use, which is part of the 10, is the turbidity. Okay, turbidity basically, like you described, for the layman, is how dirty the water is. But scientifically, it says we're looking at it how cloudy the water is. But for the layman, it's how dirty the water is. And the higher the value, the dirtier the water is. Okay. And for Ghana Water Company, the turbidity standard value should be less than 5.
Away from illegal mining, the main basic school at Akwemufie in the eastern region is in poor shape. Authorities describe it as a facility threatening the safety of pupils there. According to headmaster of the school, Daniel Dakomenta, a leaking roof forces pupils to move to a nearby chapel whenever it rains. But today, renowned American-Ghanaian businesswoman Bozoma St. John is coming to the aid of the school through her NGO, Pencils of Promise. JoyNews' PSA Nanaya Osafo has details.
Pupils of Akwemufie Basic Primary School in the Eastern Region singing praises to the non-profit organization Pencils of Promise. The outfit on Thursday cut sword for the construction of a 3-unit classroom block which will serve as a modern kindergarten facility in Akwemufie.
I came to Akwemufie almost 2 years ago. I was installed as the Odupama here in the region.
Bozoma St. John also serves as Global Ambassador for Pencils of Promise. She says the $50,000 project is only the beginning in an agenda to transform lives of native children.
I hope that the kids who are educated there will not just brighten this community, but also brighten Ghana and then Africa as a whole, and of course the world as a higher resort.
Headmaster for the school, Daniel Dakuminta, thanked the NGO for the project and hinted of massive infrastructural challenges the school suffers, especially during the rainy season.
With this, we are so happy. Education affects the children. When it's about to rain, we have to move them from that place to another place. And also there is heat in the room there. Yes, we have the floor of the classroom broken. So the children step in, and sometimes we have broken limbs and other things. So cracks in the walls, broken floors, and leaking roof. Sometimes we move to the chapel. Yes, that's where we have a safe place.
District Director of Education for Sujaman, Theodora Kutoko NT, joined in the plea.
I want to use this opportunity to humbly appeal to your support to renovate both the primary and the JHS blocks here in Akwamufie, to give it a facelift. This dilapidated building has served the community for so many years without any major renovation. I'm making this appeal because we nearly recorded a casualty a few weeks ago.
Member of Parliament for the constituency, Thomas Ampim Nyako, expressed gratitude for the project.
We are grateful. Unfortunately, the last 3 years has also seen a very low investment in educational infrastructure because of government's decision to implement free SHS. But even though we embrace that, it is very, very important that
the government's poverty alleviation program, LEAP, currently offers cash handouts to some 330,000 households in the country, which represent an estimated 1.65 million people. There are, however, an estimated 750,000 more Ghanaians who are not beneficiaries. One of them is Yaya Kwanjit, a resident of Sambona in the Northeast region. She is aware of the LEAP program and knows some members of the community where she lives who are given the cash handouts and would wish to be added so she could meet some of the bare necessities of life. For her, such stipends may help her add fish to her banku and get some kose as well when she drinks her porridge. Her lifelong ambition, though, is being able to sleep on a mattress. That, for her, is what it means to make it in life.
In the heart of Sambona, a community in the Northeast region, is Yaya Kwanjit, an old lady who does not know her age, but she firmly maintains that she's way younger than she looks currently. She blames poverty for draining all youthful juices in her, leaving her blind and old. She lost her sight after giving birth to her second child. Yaya lost her husband and recounts everything took a downward turn. She tries to define what poverty means to her.
Farane ka di fara ka hanyo mata bayin no fara mangena ala hasiare baka hasiana hanu abe ke tera pon ti kwa fana kare mo ma yeno ta hamba kufini ko kunyo yeno mo kapango tu ye ma yeno na ulona mu kama
ngalwa se fa kanyo ne ngabo enwa nga
kulwo bungbara ipo mungbara ta bani kinka to banku.
Poverty is when you depend on people for everything. Poverty is when you want to eat banku and fish, pussy, drink malt, and any other drink, but you don't have the means. That is what I consider poverty.
In fact, her two sons traveled to southern Ghana in search of supposed better living conditions, but only one visits her occasionally. Many times she is left to battle life alone. She cleans and does many domestic chores all by herself. The children in the community support by fetching water for her. She gropes for her stick, getting ready to prepare breakfast. She plants her own okra and periodically gets maize from her son and sometimes people in the community. But there are days that Yaya Kwanjit goes without any food.
There are days I have nothing. Sometimes the people of this community assume I'm okay. Those are the days I have nothing but depend on water. God always sees me through.
Although she has not seen her second son for several years, she holds no grudges. Rather, she blames his long absence on poverty.
Anubina. Was it what they won't be a nepo? Mother, one poor. Kumawata, Indican Banubina.
I think I'm back.
You went to begin there, but sound. Alaman Bini. Farakabari, Ute Faran Yona had the beer. To carry. No one with the back was at dinner. When they took come with when woman can't do Faran your one bay.
My son was very young when he left. This community is very poor. He had no choice but to leave. I learned he has a family down south, but he has never contacted me. I don't blame him. I know life is hard down south.
Out of 330,000 households and 1,650,000 individuals captured under the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty program to receive cash support, she was not captured. In fact, out of 2.4 million people identified as extremely poor in Ghana, 750,000 of them are not on the LEAP program. Her national health insurance card has also expired, and she does not attend the hospital when ill. Yaya is thankful to God for good health, but she wants her insurance card renewed also. She has been sleeping on the bare floor all her life and rarely sleeps on a mat. But Yaya has one last wish before she dies.
Before
I die, I want to also sleep on a mattress. Now, I don't even have a mat. And the only thing I want is a mattress.
To improve her life, the East Gonja district should strongly consider visiting her and capturing her on the LEAP program. She is grateful that the news team visited her and sends us off with a prayer. Jojo Kobna, JoyNews.
Now, since this story aired, it's received over 100,000 views on JoyNews' Facebook page and still counting. 2,400 shares and 1,400 comments. Some help has come in for Yaya Kwanjit to fulfill her lifelong wish. So thank you. To other stories now, and the United Kingdom's Health Minister and Conservative MP Nadine Dorries has been diagnosed with coronavirus. Ms. Dorries, the first MP to test positive, said she had taken all the advised precautions after finding out and has been self-isolating at home. This comes as a sixth person died from the virus in the UK, which has a total of 382 cases. Neighboring Burkina Faso has confirmed the first 2 cases of COVID-19, with a third person who was in close contact under observation. In Ghana, health authorities are reviewing measures put in place to monitor any incidents of coronavirus. Of the 3 countries sharing borders with Ghana, Côte d'Ivoire is now the only country without a case. Deputy Health Minister Alexander Aban is meanwhile urging the public not to panic over the confirmation of a COVID-19 case in Burkina Faso, explaining Ghana's health officials are on high alert.
The government is a concern to the Ministry of Health, and I believe it is the concern for every Ghanaian, because it sends a lot of shivers down the spine of everybody. So it's a concern to us. It's our prayer that we don't record a single case. But should that be, I believe that we have put in place enough measures to contain any outbreak or any incidence of that case, of that disease in the country. I would like to implore all Ghanaians to calm their nerves. Nobody should panic. We have put in place a lot of mechanisms to make sure that we immediately detect and contain any case that may occur. So we have had a series of meetings with the teaching hospitals, the regional hospitals so that we would have proper designated areas for holding rooms and for treatment centers, which would completely be isolated from other operations of the various hospitals. So please, everybody should calm down.
The minister also announced mass screening as the Kolebu Teaching Hospital to ensure no case escapes the authorities.
One of the things that we have also done to make sure that we prevent people from coming in with that problem undetected is that in places like Kolebu, where we have multiple entry points, we have asked that they should create designated entry points, and for those entry points they must make sure that whoever is coming, whoever is to be suspected to carry the virus, that is the protocol that we have set in place, so that once you are entering, they will have to check your temperature to see whether you are going to maternity, whether you are going for x-ray, whatever that you're going to do. For as long as you are entering the hospital, they have to check these things, so that if you are found to show the symptoms of that case definition, you can be put in the isolated place or the holding room, and the various protocols will be taken to be sure that you are negative. If you are found to be positive, then you would then have to be taken to the treatment center. So I believe that the earlier suspected incidents that happened in Kolebu became very rude wake-up calls to us.
Now, policy think tank Imani Africa is warning of massive chaos and disruption during the December 7 polls should the Electoral Commission push through with its plans to create a new register. Imani argues that the introduction of a new biometric system anywhere in the world creates massive problems, indicating the 2012 election recorded 35% failure due to the introduction of the biometric system. Vice President of Imani Africa, Bright Simmons, insists procuring new biometric voter management systems for the 2020 polls would affect the integrity of the polls. He's also challenging the EC's claim that the cost of procuring new BVMS would be cheaper than refurbishing the existing kits. He spoke at a news conference.
The argument that the system is so old that if you try and refresh it, it will cost more is not true. In fact, if you try to refresh the existing system, you try and refurbish it, buy a few new ones, and take out only the ones that are truly broken, you will not spend more than $15 million. And if you tried and did a registration of only those who have turned 18, you will not spend more than $20 million. Why? It is very simple. You will register about 2 million new people. Anybody who will try and convince you that it doesn't cost more doesn't have any regard for the truth. End of story. And we'll move on and say, is it possible that the actions of the EC can now go beyond losing money and start to affect the quality of our elections? Some of you may say that is more important to me because democracy is expensive, so maybe we should just spend a little bit more and get better quality. In addition to cost, there's also risk, and particularly the risk that because of their actions, the elections you are going to have, not this year, second, the year after, may be far less quality and stable than what we've had before. It's the risk factor of newness. New things. New things tend to be more problematic. What do I mean by that? The existing system that we've had it for long enough that we've learned to use it very well. If you go and buy a new system and you don't install and implement it properly, you can create more problems. So our argument is that the risk of the new platform, re-registering everybody, is far more than using a system that has delivered so many elections since 2012. And our first piece of evidence, using the Observer data report, Imani has mined each and every one of those reports and studied reports about breakdowns in polling stations. And we find out in 2012, when we first implemented this biometric solution, 33% of polling stations had problems. In fact, if you remember, in 2012, in some situations, it was so bad that we postponed the election for one more day. Remember that time? Yeah. It's the only time it has happened, the only time it has ever happened, because it was a brand new system.
He also accused the elections governing body of unhealthy practices, including rigging the tender process to suit what he describes as the worst bidder to provide new systems.
They published the tender in April 2019. Some people came, some of the best companies in the world, they said, oh, we'll do this for you, we'll do this for you, and we'll charge this amount. They easily looked at all of it and said, for some reason, we don't like what we are seeing, and then they canceled the tender. Then they reissued it again in August. The same set of people came and different vendors came. They said, we'll do this for you, we'll do this for you, and we'll charge this amount. It went on till around December, 4 months of evaluation. Then the committee settled on some people. The EC also started writing to the committee saying, we like these companies. This is a tender. We like these companies. We think these are the companies that should go. Eventually, they managed to get some 4 companies through and then send it to the Public Procurement Authority. But they had strong-armed the members of the tender committee to the point where the chairman of that committee was not willing to have his name associated with the process. So the EC got angry, set up a whole new committee, started the tender all over again, starting on 10th January 2020. On 13th January, they met to establish their term of reference. On 17th, they invited the companies to come back. On 18th, they held the demonstrations and the technical evaluation. And then on 19th, because they are magical and they are greatest geniuses in the world, they already have the winner. $72 million, carry and go. But what are the people that lost and why did they lose and things like that? So we started reading the document. They said, oh, the companies that lost, there was one that was very good, called Smartmatic. But as for this company, we're going to do some research about them, and they have some reputational issues. One of them was that in Philippines, the president of the Philippines was angry with them and the electoral commission of that country. And the attorney general said he will even do investigations. So when we look at that, we are suspicious of their track record. We said, okay, let's look at the one that actually won. A company called Thales. This company is a French company. We found out that in 2004, 2005, the company was blacklisted by the World Bank globally for corruption. We started digging. It's like a pattern. This is a company that today, it's under investigation in South Africa for bribing President Jacob Zuma and his people. This is a company that's under an active investigation today, has been found guilty after a proper procedural effort in South Africa. This is a company that in Gabon was more or less run out of that country by NGOs because they went to corrupt the electoral process there.
Meanwhile, he wants the Public Procurement Authority to probe the tender process. Still live on JoyNews today with me, Daniel Dazia. Next in business, ECG app highly patronized weeks after introduction. Stay with us.